What about it, YouTube? Alright, let me start off with a little story. When I was, I want to say 17, 18, I was with some buddies. We were in one of those old FJ Land Cruisers from the 70s. And, of course, this is 1987, 1988. Somebody had rumored that there was a party and somebody we might know would be at the party, and it was downtown. So we drove there, and we were underage, all of us, and we had some beer in the car. And the driver had a small amount, but not over the legal limit. Same with myself. And then there was two of us that probably wouldn't have wanted to risk driving. I don't remember what it turned out to be, but as the story goes, we drove by the house and didn't see the car of the familiar person, didn't know anybody there. We didn't stop. We just creeped by and left. And as soon as we hit State Street to go home, there was blue lights everywhere, undercovers. And so they come up, and their version of what was going on was that we knew that they were there about to bust the party, and we were trying to warn the party about them, and then we were trying to get away. So they had this whole story figured out about how we were bad because we were going to rat out the secret cop bust that was about to happen. But we didn't have a damn clue about any of that. We just drove by the house. So essentially, we got pulled for doing nothing wrong. Didn't speed, didn't run any red lights, nothing. But like any bloodthirsty, right? Once you're at that point, right? They still didn't believe our story, so it was like, they have ESP too when it comes to alcohol, especially if you're a kid. So they knew we were up to something that wasn't exactly on the QT. So we all ended up having to take a sobriety test. I ended up with, they could have got me for underage drinking, but they just gave me an open container. But anyway, they let us all go at the end of it. I think they were convinced that we didn't have any knowledge of them and weren't trying to mess with them, and just got caught up in it, in this crap, And so anyway, it's obviously not a story where I got my ass beat by cops or anything. But it's a story where, shit, how did that happen? How did I end up with an open container ticket? And the driver, actually, I don't remember if he had been drinking at all or not. He may have not been. But I know that if he did, it was like me. It was like minimal. I hadn't even got half a beer drunk by the time this all happened. Anyway, if you listen to, that's just a story. Then if you listen to someone like Rick at Think Like a Cop, or now his channel is called Goodbye America or something like that. Anywho, Rick used to be a cop. He's a retired cop. He used to work in California. And so he does videos all the time where he's going over different circumstances. It could be this Ray Shard stuff or George Floyd, or it could be anything that's happened in the news that involves police. And he's definitely not a one-sided character. He will trash the police in a heartbeat. He'll also have their back. He cites law and he cites training and blah blah blah. But there's this element of honesty with Rick as he tells you that cops screw up all the time and do things they shouldn't do, and then get away with it because government, as he puts it, this is his words, government always supports government. Government has government's back. So it's like, what if you get beat up by the mob and you go to the Dawn and say, hey, your capos beat me up. Okay. Next. They don't even care. And that's basically what you'll get from Rick is an honest approach. You may not always agree with, I don't always agree with what he says, but he doesn't care if you don't agree. And that's what's cool about him is he's not one-sided. He doesn't always take the cop side. He doesn't always take the person's side. Anyway, point I'm getting to here is that there does exist an element of law enforcement, especially in some precincts. No pun intended, but let's bring up Dukes of Hazzard. There's boss hog police, corrupt police organizations. When I moved to North Carolina, the state troopers were in the paper all the time for usually sexual transgressions, stalking women and pulling them over and trying to get sexual favors to get out of tickets. Bullshit tickets. Just them trying to get some sexual crap tickets. And other nonsense they were up to. So hopefully that's changed. I haven't heard a whole bunch lately, but cops are human. And cops can make mistakes. Now, where people go too far with the reaction, historically, would be a number of things. You could turn into maybe someone like Conscious Resistance, who's like anarchist. You could turn into maybe even somebody like a diehard libertarian that's a minarchist, that on the edge of anarchy, but right there on the edge where it's like, if you just take away the oppression of government and its law enforcement, then everybody will just act nice and polite. It's because we have these guys that are going around and they're paid to solve problems and crime, and if there isn't problems and crime, they'll make it up. And so we need to have the minimum. Or you could go into the sovereign citizen camp, and you could start keeping your window up when they have a checkpoint and tell them basically, am I being detained? Am I being detained? Am I being detained? Am I being detained? Can I see your ID? Can I see your badge number? Can I get a supervisor? I feel threatened. I'm going to call 911. Am I being detained? You could turn into one of those kooks. You could turn into like mass accountability. That's kind of in the same light, where you just troll cops and put a camera in their face and then say, Marats, 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 when they're like, what are you doing, dude? Trying to instigate, trying to make them look like an aggressor, trying to make them look like a tough guy, a bully. So you can get clicks, because, oh yeah, mass accountability, yeah. we're just here filming. They'll go film like something like the Federal Reserve Building or something like that. They're like on the sidewalks filming, and then security comes and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "My rights. What's your name?" "Oh, we won't have to tell you my rights." Well, the only people who act like you that we know about are people who are planning or something up to no good, like you're staking the place out. And so we're curious who you are. What would make you think that coming down here with your camera was a good idea when there's a lot of other things to do? We're just curious about my rights. I can film if I want. This is a public sidewalk. I'm not on your property. My rights. So you could turn into one of those retards. You could get a bunch of giggling dummies together. Seen one of these where they go open carry, and it's like, hey, let's go open carry at the Subway at Walmart. And so there's all these people, and then there's these giggling weirdos with their guns who show up to eat a sandwich. And then people call, they're a little intimidated or it's strange. So they call cops to just, because they're being loud and just drawing people's attention to them, and so that they'll definitely see them and see that they're carrying guns. Very strange behavior. So someone calls, and the cops come, and the cop says, basically, a real nice guy in this video was saying, yeah, you have the right, because they're like, my rights, open carry, we can do this, we can do what we want, yep, we're just doing our rights, and it's our rights, and the cop's like, okay, it's your right to open carry, but it's not your right to cause a disturbance, or to intimidate people, or to make them feel unsafe, or at risk. So you've got to figure out how that's going to work. But how you're doing it is falling into Camp B, not Camp A of my rights and open carry. If you want to open carry, act freaking normal is key number one. Key number two is don't go places, obviously, that's going to draw the wrong attention. Don't be retarded. So, there again, you can go these different directions with the reaction to the imbalance, however real or perceived you see it with law enforcement and the public, and how the checks and balances are not really there, because hardly ever will you get convictions on cops when there should be, and disciplinary action on cops to the extent that it should be, justice in certain situations that involve cops, because of, again, the nature of things. So I'm watching Tucker right now today. It's Tucker clashes with GOP senator over police reform in contentious interview, and it's Senator Mike Braun. I can't remember what state he's from. Indiana. Excuse me. So Tucker won't let the guy speak. Tucker is being an Alex Jones jackass to this guy, because Tucker's like basically saying the Rayshard thing is retarded. We love our police, law and order. We love our police. And this Mike Braun is saying, hey, we need to listen to people who have grievances. And if there's things we can do to fix the grievance, then we should do that. And Tucker won't let him talk. Tucker just keeps talking over him, basically using attacks that aren't fair, and won't let the guy talk and get a complete sentence out. It's really unfair what Tucker's doing to this guy. So Mike Braun, what he's trying to say is, I've got to the point where I can tell what he's trying to say, is that there does exist at some level an injustice happening between the police and the people that they're supposed to be serving, protecting, whatever. And if we can, so he has a bill to make it easier to sue cops. And so Tucker can't stand it because it's all law and order and we love the police and the thin blue line and, you know, right? So this guy is just trying to say, look, if we take your approach, Tucker, and we just say, we won't hear any of what you have to say, we love our police, we back them 100%, they are heroes, then what you've done, Tucker, is you haven't solved anything. How is this problem ever going to be quelled or solved? You may shut it down with police force, but that will only delay another reaction. And you're just adding to their belief that you're tyrannical, that the government's turned tyrannical, that this country doesn't stand for law and order in actuality. It talks about law and order while it completely is blind to its own injustice and injustices on the people. So this guy is smart as shit. This guy, Mike Braun, is saying, look, we've got to do something to acknowledge that there's something to this that can be addressed and that can give them a check and a balance, right? That can help to get the power back to the people that feel powerless in against law enforcement or government. So that's what he's trying to say. And it's totally smart. And he's trying to explain to Tucker, if we don't do anything, it hurts us. It hurts us politically. It hurts us. It hurts us. It hurts us because we're not listening at all. And so, as elected officials, we should be listening. And if we can do something that makes sense, he's not saying, Tucker's trying to turn it into, you want the guy that was involved with Ray Shard to be sentenced to death. And this guy's going like, no, this will go on in a court and blah, blah, blah. The guy probably could have done something besides kill the guy essentially in the back as he's running. Yeah, he was turning and he had the taser. And yeah, Rick will tell you even that by the book, see, Rick will tell you in his video that by the book what happened, the cop is justified. By the book, he's justified. But Rick would also tell you that he wouldn't have done it. You know, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And all things considered, the guy was running away. He wasn't getting back behind the wheel. You're going to be able to find him if you can't catch him by running after him. Yeah, he had a taser on you, but didn't you have backup still? There's a lot of ways that it could have been handled different. And there's a lot of ways it would have never happened. One way would have been if Ray Shard wouldn't have been putting himself in a compromising position like he was by sleeping drunk as shit at a drive-thru, right? But besides all that, okay, there is this issue, and even Tucker, we're not trying to even look at one case of Richard or whatever. It's somewhere out there is a legitimate concern. There's a legitimate thing where the checks and balances are not there. The power is weighted way too much on this one side, and that the people have a grievance, and that we should at least make it so that they can access redress for their grievance. They can sue the police instead of being blocked from suing the police. And I'm not even sure what the bill has in it or what it changes, but that's essentially what the discussion is. So, with all of that said, I hope everybody understands that the Mike Brauns out there, smart, And the Tucker Carlsons out there are dumb, dumb, dumb. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Okay? That's just how it is. You got to be honest about the situation. I'm definitely not for the lawlessness. Definitely not for it at all. But if you want to, you got to put out the olive branch and show them that you're listening, and show them that you'll do something. And if it makes sense, it makes sense for all colors, all people. So, anyway, video's long enough. God bless.